You are listening to the Retina UK online Belfast local peer support group meeting recorded Tuesday, 21st of June 2022.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second Belfast local peer support group meeting by Retina UK. My name is Mark Baxter. I'm the Information and Support Coordinator. Welcome to everybody. We really do appreciate you attending. I'm going to pass over to Kim Lamb, our Belfast volunteer facilitator, who will tell a little bit about herself and introduce tonight's guest speaker. So over to you, Kim. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Hello, everyone. My name's Kim Lamb, and I'm the facilitator for Belfast. And I have RP and retinitis pigmentosa, and I was diagnosed when I was 18, and I'm 57 now, so I've got a bit of sight. But I am so honoured and privileged to be introducing and welcoming Jennifer Doherty, who's going to tell us a little bit about her life, and she's going to also talk about her trek to the base camp of the Himalayas. So thank you everyone for being here, and welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks so much. I just want to start by thanking everyone for taking time out of their day to listen. I'm sure people have lots of better things to be doing. Hopefully I'll make some sense, and if you have any questions at the end, feel free to ask. I'm not really involved in many blind and visually impaired groups apart from Irish guide dogs, but Kim sent me a message and then she contacted me and we talked for an hour, and anyone who knows Kim will know her enthusiasm. That was the first thing that got my attention. I was like, I think this is the most enthusiastic person I've ever met. She was just so interested in Everest and everything I'd done, so there was no way I was going to say no to the invitation to speak here. So thank you, Kim, and thank you, Mark, as well, for all your help. So I'm going to tell you a bit about myself, just about my childhood and education and things like that, and then it will all lead on to the trek and how that came about and the interesting, crazy way that all happened. So I am 36 years old. I live in Buncrana in Donegal in Ireland. I was born 11 weeks premature, and I had detached retina as a result of that. So I lost my sight when I was 8 months old. I don't remember being able to see anything, obviously, because I was so young. I just have light perception, so I can only see light and dark, but it has to be very bright or very dark. I can't see anything else, but that's the way I've grown up. I haven't noticed any different. I don't know anything else. So, you know, I always think I'm really lucky compared to people who've had to adapt to sight loss. I think that must be really difficult. I don't know any different, and that's just the way my life's been. So I'm the youngest. I have an older brother and sister. When we were born, we were all very sick. My brother was born early as well. So I think my parents kind of, you know, when I got out of hospital and they realized I was going to be okay and I was just blind, they were thinking, you know, well, that's okay, we can deal with that. And it wasn't really a big deal. They were glad I was healthy in every other way. So they didn't really see it as an obstacle. And I was brought up, I suppose, in a very sighted world because I was the only blind person in my family and in my town. I just did what everyone else did, and I wasn't treated any differently. And I think that's been a great help to me growing up. So I went to mainstream school in Buncrana, and my mother was a teacher, which was good and bad. But back then, so this was early 90s, people didn't really go to school. If you were blind, you went to school in Dublin or Belfast, and most people from the Republic of Ireland went to Dublin. So my daddy didn't like the idea of me being sent away to school. I would have had to go on a bus in Dublin to Dublin, which then probably took about 5 hours, and only come home every weekend or every second weekend. So the plan was, they asked the principal if I could go to the local school until I made my first communion. I went there when I was 4 and I never left. And a big thing for me was that my cousin went to the school as well. She was 6 weeks older than me, so we grew up together. We're best friends. I used to call her my guide dog when I was younger, when I didn't have a guide dog. So I have friends from when I was 4, and we're still friends today. I suppose they showed me how to live. Just, you know, I just lived, did the same things as them, had an ordinary childhood, did whatever they did. I think they forgot I couldn't see most of the time, and I didn't really think about it either. I went to school, learned Braille. Luckily, there was a teacher in the town, or a lady in the town, who had learned Braille, and she was able to teach me outside school. Back then, everything was done in Braille. There was no computers or laptops or anything. There was no such thing as classroom assistants, so I didn't have a full-time assistant in primary school at all. And we just made up a lot of things as we went along. You know, it was all just trial and error. My mommy taught me for 2 years, which was interesting. It was great in a way because she didn't let me away with anything. So I had to do whatever everyone else did. So I did sport, even though I was useless at it. I didn't get, you know, I did the same homework. I did the same subjects. She was probably strict on me. So then other teachers realized that they could just treat me the same. And that was, you know, that was a good thing. So that was primary school. And I went to secondary school, and it was great, but it was very different because for the first time I had a classroom assistant. From my second year of school, I had a classroom assistant sitting with me all day, every day, and I wasn't used to this, so it was a big thing to get used to. She would help me to scan my books if they weren't in Braille, and she would type things on the computer and help me maybe to catch up on work and anything else I needed. You know, it would have been very difficult to do it without an assistant, but it was a whole new experience for me to get used to having an adult with me. And I think it kind of drew more attention to the fact that I was blind. In primary school, I just went through my school and never really thought about it. But secondary school was very different. So I did school, did the same subjects, did everything like everyone else. Went to university after. I went to Queen's in Belfast. I did music and psychology. Don't ask me why. I had this notion I was going to do music therapy, and then realized you had to be really good at playing music, and I was not really good, and I wasn't a good singer, so that was that out the window. I went to college and finished and had no idea what I was doing with my life, which I'm sure a lot of people can identify with. Then I got a guide dog when I was 21. I got my first guide dog, OJ, and he was an absolute life changer. He just changed everything. I'd wanted a guide dog from when I was 3 years old, but I wasn't prepared for how much of a difference he made. So he opened up like a whole world of independence. I met new people and went places and did things that I never would have done if I didn't have him. I think having the dog was a great help for me getting employment. So I'd managed to get my first job before that in an arts centre in Derry, where I used to meet Andrea. We used to go for lunch sometimes and coffee, and that was a great time. That was great fun. But OJ allowed me to go new places independently. I was able to volunteer for the first time, so I used to volunteer in a radio station, and I did some stuff with RNIB, and a big thing for me was that I could go places and not have to depend on other people. I could take my nephews for hot chocolate or walks or the beach, or, you know, do all the ordinary things that everyone else does, that can see and kind of probably takes for granted. So I worked in an arts centre for nearly 3 years. I did a lot of media and radio work, and then I did disability awareness training. So there is an organisation in they're all over Ireland, but the Donegal one is the Donegal Centre for Independent Living, and they have a personal assistant service. So I have a personal assistant for so many hours a week, and it's been brilliant because It allows me to live independently. She comes and, you know, helps me to do some housework once a week. She takes me shopping, food shopping. She takes, if I have to bring the dog for a free run or to the vet or drive anywhere to do anything to do with work. And, you know, it's a brilliant service. So the organization that has the personal assistant service, I worked there for 5 years, and we used to do disability awareness training. So we traveled around primary schools and secondary schools. We delivered a program there. And then after that, I took a mad idea. I wanted a change. I didn't know what the change was, so I left my job, and in the middle of trying to look for something else to do, I became self-employed, kind of by accident. But I started a transcription business, and 4 years later, I'm still doing it. So I transcribe audio. So people doing research send me their audio files, and I type them up and send them back. So I work from home. I can work when I want, and it's tough going being self-employed, but it's all good. And I don't think I could work for anyone else now. I don't think anyone would put up with me anymore. So that's kind of been my work and my you know, that sort of having a guide dog and the things that's helped me to do. One of the big things has been volunteering, and I think that's really important, that we can, you know, being a volunteer has allowed me to get out and do things that I'm interested in. I used to help out in Norgay, which is a local youth group, radio work, a lot of stuff with guide dogs, just different bits and pieces that I've enjoyed. And, you know, if I had to depend on somebody to do them all, I probably wouldn't be able, you know, I wouldn't do as many things as I do. So one of the things I suppose I've kind of always done is challenge myself. So when sometimes, you know, you go through times where you think, what am I doing? What, you know, not sure what I'm doing, where I'm going. Instead of kind of, you know, feeling sorry for myself or feeling annoyed if I want to change or something, I've decided to kind of do something a bit out of my comfort zone. And I think that sort of wakes you up a bit and makes you think differently. So I'd kind of done bits and pieces over the years. I did this thing when the year I turned 30, I did 30 new things I'd never done before. Things like surfing, I went on a motorbike, I did a hang glider in the Ulster Gliding Club. And some of them are really, really simple things, like, you know, I don't know, eat vegetarian food for a month, or just really random, silly things. But they were all, you know, I had to put work in, and they put me out of my comfort zone. And I don't know, I've just kind of always tried to do things that just scare me a wee bit, but are good fun. But this year I wasn't really prepared for how much out of my comfort zone I would get. And this kind of leads me to the base camp trip. I'm conscious of just talking and talking forever, so I want to tell you about this trip, and then if anyone has any questions, that would be great. So I'd say exactly 6 months ago, I got a message out of nowhere from Jason Black. He is a mountaineer. He's been to the summit of Kilimanjaro, or of K2. He's been to the summit of Everest. He's broken world records. He's like an adventurer. He's done lots of things. And sport was something I was never interested in. So I knew of him, but I didn't really take much interest in what people do in sport. So I was surprised to get this message from this athlete out of nowhere asking me, could he meet me? So he came to my house. I honestly didn't know what I was letting him in the door for. And I mean, this story sounds so made up, but it's true. It's so mad. Even when I tell it now, it's crazy that it happened. So he came to the house. He was there for a couple of hours, and he explained all his story, what he's done, his life, and how he's got to where he has. And if you can look him up, his Jason Black, but he's got a Facebook page, Jason Black Athlete, and his whole story is just really, really, really interesting. So he told me that he was taking a group of people to Everest Base Camp in April, he's done all these kind of things himself, but he'd never led a group before. And he wanted to know, he said he heard about me. I don't know, he kind of spoke to someone and he knew I flew a plane years ago and with Aerobility, a company that allowed people with disabilities to fly planes. So he knew I'd done that. I don't really know how much else he knew, but he said he thought it might be something I'd be interested in doing. And I was sitting there thinking, this man is crazy. Like, what is he at? Who is he and why is he asking me? And luckily my mother and my brother were there because they just wouldn't have believed me. So what he didn't know was, so he wanted to take me to Nepal. I was the only blind person going as part of this trek. He'd never guided a blind person in his life. He'd never walked anywhere with a blind person. And yet here he was telling me that this would be a great idea. But what he didn't know was that my sister-in-law is Nepalese. I have a niece, so she's half Nepalese, half Irish. My parents had booked a flight to go out to Nepal to spend time with them and meet her family back in 2019. They were going to go, they'd everything booked, and my dad had cancer and he went for a checkup just before they flew, and unfortunately he wasn't able to go, and then they had to cancel the trip and he passed away 3 months later. So Jason didn't know any of this, and you can imagine he was really touched by all of this and, you know, thinking, how did he end up here in this house with all these connections to Nepal? And he told me to think about it over Christmas, and I told him before he left, I said, I'm going to go because if you leave, I'll overthink it and I won't go. So he left, and we kind of kept in touch for the next while, and there was different things about whether I would go or not. There was a few things going on, but eventually it all worked out. We had some training days and we met up as a group, and we all I flew out with a couple of my friends went, a couple of people that I knew they decided to go after I went. But we flew out to Kathmandu on the 27th of April and had a few days there. And then all the group got together, and on the 1st or 2nd of May, we began the trek to base camp. It was something I never thought about doing in my life. I wasn't overly fit. I walked lots with my guide dog, but I haven't walked in many of the hills in Donegal, never mind Everest. So it took me completely out of my comfort zone. I'd never done anything like it. I'd never been in altitude. I was going with a group of people who could see everything about it. You know, there was a million reasons why I shouldn't have went, but it was just absolutely the best experience of my life. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about other people. I suppose I can answer any questions about it because I could talk about it all day, and that I just wouldn't even know where to start. But Nepal is an amazing place, a great place for a blind person, because even though I couldn't see, there was so much else going on. I was with a brilliant group of people and they never treated me any differently. They described everything. They were just absolutely brilliant. And I'm back now a month, and I keep thinking back to that day. Why did it happen to me? Why did I get asked to go? But I think it's just given me a whole new outlook on people and how important it is when we get amazing opportunities to say yes to them. And because we don't know what's ahead of us, we don't know what can come out of them and what we're missing if we overthink things and worry about things and worry about what other people think of us if we say no to things. So that has been my big lesson in the last 6 months. It's been really good fun. It's been an amazing opportunity, and I think I'm just so lucky. I mean, I'm lucky. I've always had great people in my life and great support, but when a complete stranger asks you to do something, that's not many people get that opportunity. So I think I'm really, really lucky. So that's kind of what's led me here today. That's how Kim got in touch with me, and that's kind of what happened. So I don't know if there's anyone have any questions or anything specific they want to know about Nepal.
That was a fantastic. Thank you so much. That was very, very inspiring, and it sounds amazing to have that opportunity. Literally, just come a knock in. No, it's an amazing experience. I've seen a lot of footage about the Everest Base Camp, the training that goes into it, and everything like that. So yeah, very well done for taking that opportunity and seeing what comes out of it. So thank you very much for talking, Jennifer. That's really much appreciated. Does anybody have any questions for Jennifer regarding her trek? Are we all on mute still?
I do.
Oh.
I've got a question.
You couldn't have any more questions left.
I mean, it just seems so kind of like spirit when you were in Nepal. I mean, apart from the fact that it was such a difficult thing to do, I mean, physically you were there for I think 12 days, right? Yeah, climbing for 12 days. I mean, apart from the altitude, like, how did you feel about that connection to your dad who had passed away? I mean, that must have been quite emotional, and it's almost like you, without knowing it, there was some kind of connection there.
Yeah, I suppose I thought about him all the time I was there, and it was really tough because I knew, you know, he'd be really excited about it. He'd want to know everything, and I found it tough when I contacted people at home that I couldn't talk to him and tell him everything. But I just felt like he was there, and I've never felt that before. Like, there were so many times I'd be walking with Jason and I'd just want to turn around and be like, oh, Dad, look at this, or this happened. You know, there was so many times that I just felt kind of like yeah, definitely that he was there and he was looking out for me. And there was, like I said, there were so many reasons and things that happened before that maybe I couldn't have gone, but everything just seemed to go perfect and work. And I kind of felt like he had some kind of hand in that some way.
It's really incredible.
Sure.
Honestly, I find you absolutely phenomenal. I mean, what you've done and how you've coped, and it's almost like you've been treated as a norm, as somebody who wasn't blind. I mean, that's phenomenal. And I mean, and how did you cope with walking so much?
So the trek itself is really difficult. Like, I don't think there was any flat ground from when we left the airport until we came back. It's just steps, and everyone thinks, you don't go up to base camp and down, you go up and down constantly, you go up and down steps. There was times where you'd be like standing on one leg trying to listen to instructions about where you would stretch and just feel and find the next rock. And I think it was more scary for the people watching me than it was for me, because they were like, they could see like my toe on a rock, and one person in particular was like, oh, she's gonna fall. And I said to her, don't watch me, because you're it looks worse than it is. The people were great because they described everything, and they were, Jason and one of the other people had been in scouts since they were 6 years old, so they kind of guided me over the tougher ground, and they were really confident and knew what they were doing. And anyone who does sighted guide will know, if you take someone's elbow and they're nervous, you can feel it straight away.
That's right.
So I couldn't walk with people who were nervous, so we kind of, on the the easier ground, someone would walk me, walk with me if they felt comfortable, and then the more difficult parts I would move and walk with a couple of the men who were taller and more familiar with this kind of terrain, because you couldn't, like, I was very clear of that from the start, that I didn't want to put that on people. It was everyone else's trip, and I didn't want to make it difficult for anybody. So I was very conscious of that as well, that everyone could enjoy it. And I didn't want to be a burden, I suppose, on anyone, but we worked it out well. Everyone kind of just worked out what was best. And we had 3 Sherpas there as well. So the Sherpas on the mountain are, the people who, like, nobody could climb mountains without Sherpas in Nepal. They're amazing. And at one stage I got a Sherpa carry. So the ground was really wet and slippy and steep, and we had a long way to go. So they took turns carrying me on their back. for an hour and a half. So I got a piggyback down the mountain. And that was amazing because people talk about them and how fast they move, but obviously I can't see them, or how they put the ropes on their back and carry things. So I was able to feel how quick they move, and like it's a skill in itself because they're amazing. So it was a way of me getting down a difficult part of the mountain quickly, but without feeling like, I was being treated any different, because they were just letting me experience something that everyone else could see. So there were so many experiences that were kind of thought out, but they weren't like, oh, we'll do this for her to make it easy because she's blind. It was, and I know I said to you, Kim, that Jason's thing was from the very beginning. He said he was taking me to Everest as a human first and a blind person second, and that was really important because he was like, you weren't wrapped up in cotton wool when you grew up, and you're not going to be here. I'm going to be as tough on you as I am on everyone else. I think he might have been tougher on me, but that was really important because I didn't want to be treated any different. I didn't want to be holding anyone back, and that was one thing he made, we made very clear from the start, and we made clear to everyone else. He was like, she's just the same as all you, treat her the same, don't be feeling sorry for her, don't be fussing, just get on with it. And everybody did, and they were a great group of people. Like, he didn't even tell the Sherpas I was blind. They didn't know until they saw me at the airport. Which is that's insane.
Jennifer, are you the only blind person that ever done base camp?
I'm not that ever done base camp. They said, I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm going to take it anyway because it sounds good. They said, so we went a different trail. So we went the original 1953 route. So most people fly into Lukla. We went to an airport called Faklu, lower down. So we had like 4 days of, coming through local villages, and we had more time to acclimatize to the altitude. And they said that they didn't know of any blind people who'd gone this way. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I know most people in general go to Lukla. And like, none of us got sick because we'd acclimatized to the altitude. So we were really lucky, and we saw so many people coming down that were sick. But see the amount of people, we were meeting people coming up, and they were coming down, and they were like exhausted and feeling sorry for themselves. And then they'd look at me and be like, whoa, and like be all shocked. And then Jason was really hyper one day, Jason, one of the boys, and they started telling people I was drunk. And I was like, you can't say that. And they were like pointing at me going, too much whiskey. Because in the difficult down parts, I was in the middle of both of them. So it looked like they were like holding me up. And I was like, can't tell people that. That's so bad. I don't know. But I know a few blind people who've done it the other way, but not the way I did it.
Credit to you. Your family must be so proud of you as well to do something like that.
They were. They didn't realize how hard it was because we've actually made a video of it. We're going to make a documentary, but they put bits up on Facebook, but only small things. And my mommy said I was away about 4 days, and she saw this video of me walking up the rocks. And she's like, Jesus, her legs are going to break. She's going to twist her ankle. Something's going to happen to her. And she said it wasn't until she saw that she just went, oh my God, like, is she going to be okay? But it's just as well. Maybe if they knew, they wouldn't have let me go. If I knew, I mightn't have went either.
They didn't know what a goat you were.
A mad Irish woman, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And when's the documentary going to be videoed? Do you know? Have you any time scale?
They're chatting sometime before Christmas. I don't really know when, but that's kind of the talk at the minute. I don't know.
Are they going to make it audio described?
I don't know. I did ask them that. Yeah, I said they should. I did say that, so I don't know. Hopefully, God helps the person describing it though. And they have to take out all my bad language too.
Yeah, the Trump coming down the mountain.
Yeah.
So since doing that now, then have you got any other plans to do anything else adventurous, or as adventurous as you've done? Or
I don't have plans, but Jason Black might have plans because he seems to have plans for lots of things and not tell me about them until I'm.
You're probably better not knowing.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely love, like, I want to do more outdoor, even just in my family, you know, more hill walks and stuff. I'm kind of trying to get everybody out more. He takes groups as well, so I'm kind of going to maybe get involved in some things he's been doing, or you know, if he's doing something else, I might go like locally, but I've no big plans yet. But sure, you never know. I didn't plan any of this 6 months ago, so I don't know. I've given up on plans now at this stage.
Yeah.
It must be a little bit anticlimactic to be back to normality after all this exquisite excitement. I mean, it's incredible, but I think you should be in the Guinness Book of Records as being the only blind person who's done that walk. I mean, well, it's really is a trek. It's not a walk, but it's incredible what you've done. And do you still have a guide dog?
I do, yeah. So the dog I have now is called Sybil. She's 9 years old. She was 9 just the other day. So we went a walk with her. It's funny, we went a walk with her today, and it was like, I went with her and my friend. It was 10K and it was pretty flat. And I was thinking at the end of it, I was tired, and I was like, how did I do that? That walk I did. You know, it's funny when you look back and you do something at the time and you don't think, and then you look back and you're like, did I really do that? Yeah,
but Sybil couldn't go with you on the walk.
No, you couldn't even take a guide dog to Nepal. They don't even have guide dogs there, and they don't even know what they are, which is interesting. So now there's no way she could go. I could hardly do it myself, never mind deal with her as well.
Did you meet any disabled people when you were there?
Do you know what? I didn't, and I was asking them a lot about in the local villages, were there any children? Because we did go to a school one day. We bought copybooks and pens and pencils and left them in a school, and I did ask, was there any children with disabilities or blind children? And they said, you know, they didn't know any in the village, so I don't know if there wasn't, or do they not really come out? Or I know in Kathmandu they have facilities, but I don't know in the smaller places, do they, you know, I think they just thought I was absolutely mad. So they mustn't, I don't know.
That's before they got to know you.
But they must have had such huge respect for you, because there aren't so many disabled people or blind people that are out and about. So this must have been quite an eye-opener for them, you know, and quite new.
Yeah, I think it was. But they were great. Like, even the people themselves, the Nepalese people are so gentle, and you know, they would help you, but they don't overly help or fuss or, like, you know, touch you. Or, you know, there's some countries you go and they want you to come into shops and buy things, and they're trying to move you everywhere, and you know, just they're not like that at all. They're really lovely people. So for people who aren't familiar with blind people, they were really, you know, I was surprised at that. I thought they would have been more kind of, you know, I thought they would have been different.
Did you use your cane?
No, I used it through the airport, but not after that. No, I wasn't really much benefit because the ground was so uneven anyway. So that was a big, sorry?
I think you do yourself more damage with the cane.
Yeah, exactly. That was a big thing at the start for me before I went, you know, getting used to having to depend on people for everything. So like a lot of the toilets so we stayed in tea houses every night. So they were like the same kind of idea, but they all had a different layout. So it'd be like a main room, and then we shared rooms, like 2 people shared a room. So I shared a room with a brilliant girl called Laura, who just, you know, had never met a blind person, but you'd think she knew me all my life. You know, one of those people that just seems to get it and know how much to do without doing too much. But like, she had to bring me around, like even the bathrooms, a lot of the bathrooms, especially the ones outside, were like holes in the ground. So we'd go in and I'd be like, is this a normal toilet or a hole in the ground? And like the holes in the ground, she'd have to tell you where to stand, and where, you know, and like, oh, stop there now and don't go back any further. This is do you know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of things you had to depend on people for. You couldn't get any of your own food. You couldn't, you know, walk anywhere yourself. So I was kind of worried about this at the start, but everyone was brilliant. And, you know, Jason just kind of said to me, look, you're really independent at home for these 3 weeks. You can't do these things, but that's okay. You know, don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. Just, that's the way it is.
Lean on other people when you have.
Yeah. And when I got that in my head, then I was fine. But, you know, I made this such a big deal at the start, but it just shows you how much we overthink things too, and you know, think that people are going to think things are a big deal when they're really not.
I think blind people tend to stress themselves a bit more than they have to,
Yeah,
which is
definitely.
understandable. So you're going to a new country, you're going to a strange place. Like you said, even go to the toilets and stuff like that. I mean, it's a whole new way of living over there. Like, and you're not used
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, the food
First,
and money, like money, you literally have to hand someone over your wallet and be like, can you find this amount of money? Because there's no way you can learn to count it. So, you know, trust is a big thing.
I'll say you've made friends for life.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, some of us have met up since, and you know, we seem to be. It was a great group, so hopefully we'll all stay in touch.
Was it all Irish ones that went, or was there any other countries that joined it, or was it all Irish?
All Irish. It was all from Donegal.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah, it's good. We had our Donegal flags with us and everything at base camp.
I should have given you a Tyrone flag to run with you.
Sorry, Jen, can I ask, did you bring a piece of Everest back with you?
No, and do you know, I never thought of it. I think the day we got to Everest, everyone was just so emotional and we weren't even thinking straight. And then I did think that after I should have, because some people did take like, you know, like a little rock or stone or something, and I didn't, and I wish I did.
I have to go back next year and do it.
I know that. Just go back next year.
Go do it all again.
Yeah, just for that reason.
Always the treks that I've been, I always bring back something, you know, whether it's a piece of quartz or something like that, or of something, a big chunk of obsidian volcanic rock or something like that, that I just have to, it's just that little reminder. But you can't beat the memories, you know, of the experience, the smells and the tastes, and you know what you can hear and everything like that. They're the things that you automatically bring back with you, that you'll never ever lose, or never get packed up in a box or anything like that. So,
was there good food over there?
Amazing. I love Nepalese food anyway. Like, I love dal and I eat a lot of vegetables and things anyway. So it was lovely. And there was a lot of just food we get here, like eggs and omelets and porridge and chips, and you didn't go hungry. I never ate as much in my whole life as I did over there.
Was there any alcohol consumed after get down?
Yeah, there was by some people. When we got back to Kathmandu, well, we kind of and no one drank any on the trek, but we had a couple of nights, or a night in Lukla when we got back, but we actually got stuck. So because of the weather, we couldn't fly. We were stuck in Lukla for 2 days. So we intended having a big party in Kathmandu when we got back, and it never happened. So we're kind of all raging about that.
I think he's deserved a party, to be fair.
We'll just have to have one here. We're talking about a night out, so someone needs to organise it.
There you go, Kim. That can be our first in-person meeting. Isn't it? You said you was going to do a barbecue.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to do a barbecue. Jennifer, you have to come to it when we all up. I mean, it'll be so amazing. But Jennifer, it must have been so exhausting. You must have just wanted to flake into your bed at night. I mean, what time did you go to sleep? What time did you wake up?
We kind of were in bed by like 11, and you were up usually 6:30, up for breakfast at 6:30, and then ready to go. And
who cooked?
So we stayed in tea houses every night, and they cook your dinner. So like that was part of the thing, that, you know, that's employing local people. So you stop in tea houses for lunch and dinner, and they feed you, so you don't have to do any of your own cooking or anything. So that was good.
Delicious, absolutely.
Was there any days you wanted to give up and not get up a bit?
No, honestly, never. You'd get like minutes when you're walking where you were tired, and you'd stop and have a drink and then be okay. There's a few people who didn't. At times they didn't want to go in the morning, or they were saying, you know, oh, they were tired or whatever. Do we have to do this again? But I was like, couldn't wait to get up and go, and you know, that's what we were there for. And I knew, I had a very good sense before I went of what was ahead of me. So I couldn't wait to get up every day and go.
Yes, that was written about you in the newspaper, that you were the only person who never moaned once on the trip, but everybody else was moaning about how a goat. I swear, it's amazing. It is phenomenal.
That really was very inspirational, Jennifer. What was the average age of the party? Were they sort of round about your age, or some were older?
So there was, I'd say maybe 4 of them were in their 50s. There was, the youngest was 23. That was Laura, Jason's daughter, and then me, and then the rest were in their 40s. So kind of a mix.
Yeah. What is the altitude of the base camp? Is it about 13,000 feet, or is it higher than that?
And the rest, yeah.
I can't remember actually.
17, is it 17?
17,
It's
yeah.
5,400
1,000
meters.
meters, so 15,000,
Yeah.
16,000 feet. Wow.
Yeah.
It took you a while, obviously, to acclimatize for the altitude sickness, and yeah.
Yeah, we were lucky because we went the way we did. You know, we had more time and nobody got sick. But it did. You just felt really out of breath, and then you just stop and take a drink and take water, and you were fine again. And you know, our Jason is an altitude trained mountaineer too, so we were well looked after. But you could see people who weren't prepared for it, and they were so sick. We met so many people who really weren't well. It's awful.
I think the highest I've been is 4,000 meters actually in Lesotho in South Africa.
Oh, very good.
13,000 feet, but it's nothing like that, of course.
I would love to go to Africa. I really want to go to Africa someday.
There you go. There you go. You will.
Yeah.
Nothing will stop you, girl.
Sorry, Kim.
Carry on.
No, I was going to say, if you want to go to Africa, then keep in touch, because there's something that I would like to dust off that was talked about a few years ago by myself and a few colleagues and a member of British Blind Sport about the possibility of Kilimanjaro. It's a trek that I've always wanted to do. So if that's something that you would be interested in, then we might be able to have a quick chat with Jason to see whether that is something that is a possibility. If anyone else would be interested in doing something like that.
Jennifer, your way again.
Jennifer, yeah. That's going to be a piece of cake after Everest. Stroll in the park.
But apparently, from what I've heard, it's supposed to be pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
My uncle and my cousin have done it, and I was jealous that they did it, and I couldn't actually do it that year. So it's on the to-do list. But speaking of treks and walks, if anybody is interested in joining Retina UK for our launch of our national peer support group, which has just been announced, and it will be on 30th of June at 7 p.m. We will be talking to a chap at a company called Action Challenge UK, who support Retina UK with their ultra challenges. So we have one called the Jurassic Coast trek. We've got one in the Lake District, and many walks and treks around the UK. And they also facilitate international treks like to Everest Base Camp. They've got the Fire and Ice trek in Iceland. They do the Inca Trail in Peru. So if you want to do what Jennifer's done and push your boundaries and sort of go outside of your comfort zone and embark on a new challenge, then this meeting, which is going to be online again via Zoom, might be something you'd be interested in. So all details will be going out this week. Kim will get all the details shortly, and she'll be able to pass them along to anybody that would like to come and see what challenges are available throughout 2022 and all through 2023 as well. So, and if there's any bespoke challenges that you'd like to take part on for another charity or anything like that, then it's something that is there for you to do. So I'll put that I'll put that information into the follow-up email, should anyone want to, and also the link as well, should anyone want to register for that one.
I thought Kirkpatrick was tough.
I've never done Kirkpatrick.
And what you've done, you have no problem doing Kirkpatrick. Only half. It's only 4 miles up and down. So
Yeah.
There are actually some really nice treks in Northern Ireland that I looked at, and quite long ones as well. You know, it's like, wow, that's a few, you know, at least 150-mile trek, that one. It's but again, some of the scenery and the landscapes and everything like that are supposed to be, and obviously the terrain is supposed to be quite challenging yet, but ultimately rewarding as well. So. Again, that's another land that I've always wanted to walk across as well. So, but
You will.
Yeah, I'll get my. I will. I'll get the opportunity one day. So, but if anybody is new to Retina UK and hasn't or would like to find out any more information about what we do or anything like that, then please get in touch with us. Via our email address info@retinauk.org.uk. We do have our annual general conference on in July. On the professionals conference is on July 8th, and our annual conference is on Saturday the 9th. And so if you want to hear any about research regarding RP or inherited sight loss, then please jump online, because you can actually register online, and you can have it beamed to you via I think it's Zoom, I think it is, so you can watch it remotely from the comfort of your own home. So it's going to be in face-to-face, but if you much prefer to watch it on your computer screen, then it's going to be in hybrid fashion. So that's one of the things that are actually coming up over the next few weeks. So if you do need would like any other information, then you can always forward your information on to Kim or to myself. I'll be sending an email out, so you can send us any feedback or anything like that from what you'd like to do for future meetings. We're hoping to try and do a face-to-face meeting in the not too distant future, or whether you guys prefer to keep it online. It's the type of thing that we kind of desperately need your feedback to help us sort of improve these new groups, as Kim's doing a fantastic job as facilitator at the moment. This is our second meeting, so we're hoping just to grow it and make it a really good one.
Thanks so much, Mark.
You're welcome.
And I think that's brilliant that we can all register for different things that are going on the 30th. I'd like to go and walk around the lakes. That sounds amazing. And I think that to find out about the research also sounds amazing. In fact, Retina UK is a brilliant organization. And Jennifer, you are amazing. I don't think that's anybody. You're an incredible speaker. Thank you so much.
thank
You're
you, Jennifer.
welcome.
Thanks, Jennifer. It really was very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was really good.
Thank you.
Anybody got any further questions regarding Retina UK, or any fundraising, or any challenges that anyone would like to have a go at? It could be anything, really.
We'll think about it.
Yeah. What time is it? I think it's coming up to, it's 8 o'clock now. So, but thank you very, very much for everyone for attending our second Belfast local peer support group meeting. It's very much appreciated. And we'd love to see you at the next meeting, which details will be available in due course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, everyone.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you very much. Jennifer, thank you very much again.
Thank you very, very much, Jennifer. Thanks so much for your time. That was
Remember if you get any future meetings, you put them up in the tag post again.
Pardon?
If you get any more future dates, you put them up the tag post again.
I will, certainly I will, with pleasure.
Yeah,
Lovely to see you.
And you, Kim.
Okay, take care.
There's
Yes.
all the best, folks. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Enjoy the evening, everyone.
Take care,
Just-
Bye,
everybody.
Jack.
You
Take
too.
care. Bye,
Cecilia.
Rach.
Well,
Take care. Bye.
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 Bye, everybody.
Bye, Rachel.
Bye, Kim.
Bye.
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 Bye. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Take
you.
care. Oh, Mark,
Bye.
thanks a
Thanks very
zillion.
much.
Jennifer, thanks a trillion. Bye. That was amazing.
Thank you
Really
very much.
amazing. Bye, you.
Bye.
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 Bye, everyone. Yep.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
We hope you have enjoyed this recording. If you have any questions, queries, or wish to leave any feedback, then please leave it in the comment section below. Alternatively, you can send your inquiries to info@retinauk.org.uk. Contact us via the telephone on 01280 821 334 or call our helpline on 0300 111 4000, which is open Monday to Friday 9:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. If you would like to know more about our local peer groups, when your next meeting will be held, or if you wish to get involved in creating your own group, or would like to know more about our services that Retina UK provides, then please visit our information and support page on our website www.retinauk.org.uk and navigate to our local peer group page. Thanks again for listening. We hope to see you again soon. Take care and bye for now.